Hey, Flatman here. How you doing? We're gonna be trying something a little bit new. I actually was suggested by one of my friends, who's also a viewer, that I change it up a little bit. So on Mondays, I'm gonna do a movie review, and today would technically be Monday's video because I got distracted on actual Monday. Go figure. Classic Plaidman. Late but not forgotten. I feel like I should put it in the I Will Remember You song. The I will remember you. Anyways, so there you go. That's maybe if I do a better job at having like more intense, well edited, put together things, then I will have moments like that. Because that's what all the pro YouTubers do. Ugh, blah, blah, blah. So I'm open also to suggestions on what I should be talking about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I definitely want book reading and definitely want to do like random things like what's going on in the world or just something funny. So maybe Friday will be funny video day. So that would leave Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as like, okay, what should we be talking about? Anyhow, so open to suggestions on that. But on to the movie review. So what I saw this weekend was a movie called Cyrano with Peter Dinklage. And you know, I can't remember the name of the female lead in that. I'm so horrible in that regard. But I did look. I looked her up after I saw the movie, and it was interesting because I was asking my lady, I was like, where have we seen her? We've seen her in something, but I can't remember. And the thing is, she's done a good amount of work, and she seems to be relatively well established. It just seems like we either haven't seen a lot of the movies she's been in, or she had kind of like a smaller supporting role. So it wasn't enough for us to like, oh, who was that other person in the scene? Her name was like Martha. What was her name? Like, we're not doing that. We're mainly just like, well, who was who in what film and yada, yada, yada. Anyhow, so one thing I realized, Cyrano, name of the movie, Peter Dinklage. The guy you probably all remember, the short Lannister. That's mean to say. You know, the Lannister that just goes around and just sleeps with women left, right, and center. Has got a quippy mouth on him. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I want to say Tyrion. Tywin? I forget. Doesn't matter. It was so annoying when I don't know what the author was thinking when he was naming the names, because he named both the Lannister brothers T names. And it's like, dude, that's not helpful at all. Or maybe like the dad was a T name and then the son. And it's just like, bro. It would be like naming your two sons like, hi, this is Randy and this is Dandy. Like, why would you do that? That's just horrible. I mean, that's not quite the same, but you get the point. Anyways, Cyrano, going back to it. Well, before I even talk about the movie specifically, one thing I thought was interesting that I didn't know when I first saw it. One is that this is actually like a remake of a remake. So they had made a movie, I want to say like 20, 30 odd years ago. And then they made a movie in like 1950. So this is a remake of a remake, and it's apparently a really good play. I tried reading the play. I could have got through it. It was just like hard for me to get. And I will say it was a lot easier for me to read what I read, because I got about halfway through, because I saw the trailer of the movie. So I had some semblance of what the F was going on based on the trailer of the movie. And then when I started reading it, I was like, oh, okay, I understand. I think I'm just kind of waiting for those things to happen. But okay, whatever. Anyways, so one thing I thought was rather interesting was in these other movies, there was a lot of emphasis on how, so the core concept of it is you have this guy, his name's Cyrano, and he loves this woman, and he's very witty, and he's a good sword fighter, and yada, 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 and otherwise attractive, and she, of course, is gorgeous. But our main character, Cyrano, he's got a really long nose. So that supposedly precludes him, back in the day, of being a possible suitor for the main female character. Well, that was interesting. So I didn't really know that. And I was thinking, like, I kind of admire that they like hired Dinklage for this character that would normally be, not a shorter person. And then I was like, hold up. I see what you guys did there. Yes, good job on the casting because Peter Dinklage did great. But instead of like the prolonged nose, they did him being shorter. So, okay, fine, cool. It worked for me. The story's rather interesting, and I don't want to give it away. I highly suggest you watch it with your lady. One thing that was not really apparent to me when I saw the trailer, and my lady didn't really know either, and we found out about like 5 minutes into the film, we're like, oh, wait, this is a musical. I did not know that. Now, generally, I kind of put musicals in like two sections. One is your like Chicago type musical, where it's just like every scene is a musical. Every scene is a musical number. Doesn't matter. There's like a little bit of dialogue and then just a song. Little bit of dialogue and a song. And then there's like your other ones, which my lady brought up as like a Disney musical, where you have the story and then they have a song. And they have the story and then there's a song. And it sounds similar, but there's a noticeable difference because with one, you're getting the story, right? Think of like Mulan, right? Not the recent crappy one, but like the good one. Or Hercules, or whatever one you want. And it's like you are following along in the story, and then there's a moment that happens, and for 3 minutes they just want to go into a song, and it still forwards the story. It's pertinent to what's going on. It kind of adds levity and funniness or drama. So good examples of that are non-Disney related would be like Les Mis, for instance, or Newsies. Well, Newsies isn't actually. It's a good musical, but no. I'm trying to think of other musicals. I'm sorry. I'm blanking right now. You me get your way? Okay. So I'm stealing my dad's work space right now. Anyways, so what's awesome about Cyrano is you have this guy and he adores this woman, but he doesn't think that he's good enough for her for whatever reason. Then enter this other character who is very attractive as well. He doesn't have the short complex or the long nose as Cyrano. And this woman like falls in love, like classic case of, oh my God, you're so pretty, a pretty person seeing a pretty person. And then they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Anyhow, so then basically an agreement gets established where Cyrano is helping this other person, Christian is his name, write letters and basically court this main person, the female. And that's all well and good, but it is kind of like, it's like the modern version of catfishing. It's not as bad as like, well, I guess you could say it's kind of like your buddy doesn't know how to text girls, so you text girls for him. Yeah, I don't know. It's not quite the same thing, but it just feels worse. It feels worse with letters. And so this like shenanigans goes on and kind of crescendos to this certain moment and yada yada yada. I will say it's a solid like 7 out of 10 movie if you are okay with musicals. And this is like musical light. So all of the songs in there are appropriate. They forward the story. It's not totally distracting. Honestly, I barely paid any attention to it because it was so kind of subtly placed in there, and I really liked it. And Peter Dinklage did a good job singing, so on and so forth. This was cool. Also, the musical, like the dance elements of it, were so short in the grand scheme of things. Like there was a couple parts where they were like soldiers dancing, and I was like, I don't like that. That's weird. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing. It just felt very weird and overly sensual. And I was kind of confused as to why they were doing that. And yeah, so there was some weird choices, and I'll get into that. But generally speaking, I suggest the movie, worth a watch. And watch it in theaters, because support movies in theaters. Otherwise, you'll forget it, and then you won't watch it, because there's so many movies out there. Now, there was a couple things that I thought was rather interesting that Hollywood's doing a lot nowadays, and I don't really mind or care, but I also feel like it's very interesting. I feel like Hollywood they can't get out of their own darn way. And that is like, oh, we're going to have a darker skinned person be this other main character, Christian. And while I don't mind at all, and then Cyrano's best friend is also a darker skinned person, and I don't mind either of those things, I just felt like it was kind of odd and inconsistent because if you're going to go with that and you're going to have two main, a supporting character and then a main character be darker skin, then shouldn't that be kind of carried out throughout all the extras and everything else? And it wasn't. In my opinion, it really wasn't. So, and it's supposed to be set in France, which, if we're honest and you're trying to be historically accurate, sorry, there wasn't a lot of black people in France at that time. So what you're talking about is baloney. But I feel like if you're going to do that and you're going to own it, then just have more people be like that. Now, there have been times where I've seen, like, there was a movie called Much Ado About Nothing. I believe that's what it was. It was with Denzel Washington. It was a Shakespeare play that they made into a movie with Denzel. And I think Keanu Reeves. Really, really good, surprisingly. And that didn't bother me one iota. And frankly, this didn't really bother me either. I don't care what color they are. I just felt like if you're gonna put that into the mix, you should sprinkle it throughout the casting, women, men, like throughout the casting and in the background as well, so that it doesn't feel like off. Because it felt kind of off. Like it felt like, oh, we're just gonna cast these two, we're gonna meet our minority quota, because we're not gonna have any Asians here. We're just gonna have two black people, and then that's basically it. And I'm like, okay, fine. Fine, whatever. I will say I enjoyed the bad guy. I love the actor who played the bad guy. I'm just a little sad because I feel like he's kind of taking up the mantle of the guy who played Professor Snape. And I can't remember his name right now. And that's fine, but I would love for that guy to stop just being the bad guy in every movie. He does a really good job. But the issue is that you get to a point where you get typecast and we only see you as the bad guy. So I would like to see him do other things, because it gets to a point where, and with certain actors, you know how it is. Alan Rickman is the name of the actor, by the way. He's kind of taking over for Alan Rickman. Is once you see that actor in a role, you automatically know he's the bad guy, which kind of ruins it for surprises and other things and allowing the person to kind of get in there. So in general, good movie, worth watching. I just didn't love it. It wasn't amazing. There was one part in there where they were doing a song. I'm not going to give it away, but they're doing a song about giving a letter to their wives, right? One guy does to his wife, says some things, sings some things. Other guy, same thing, sings something similar but different. And then the last person is doing a letter to his father. And that hit me real hard. That was, like a good punchline for a joke where you're like, okay. And then, oh, that's funny. But this was reverse, where it's just like, okay, yeah, I get it. And then, oh, wow. So there's moments like that in this movie that I felt really went above and beyond and were actually really, really well done. So I highly suggest it. It's not as good as Batman. Like, I almost want to go and watch Batman again, and I probably will watch Batman again because, goodness gracious, that was a darn good movie. But Cyrano is definitely something to go for a date night if you're kind of wondering. As a dude, I wouldn't necessarily be like, yeah, dude, watch it by yourself. But, like, if you have a lady friend or whatever, you like musicals, go check it out because it's a good movie. All right, that's it for today. I will do Tuesday's video later, and I will post it before 9. So I guess technically you're getting 2 videos today, but this is technically a Monday video. All right, talk to you all later. Plaidman out. Bye.